So these past couple days or the last week or two, there's been a lot of sweat, money, time, help, friends, stuff. A lot of stuff so far has gone into the Hellcat Miata.
And now, you're watching the NBA Finals Toronto Raptors Kyle Lowry game-winning shot attempt channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
So what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on another video. So right now, this shop is looking a little chaotic. It's a little less organized than how I like it. But if you see right here what's going on, that's why we're so busy and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And this thing is, woo! So the body is looking phenomenal. Now we got to get the rest of the stuff to look as good, hopefully. We'll just have to see how everything goes. So what we have going on is we got the hood right there with the hole cut out for the motor, and then we got the mirrors, the door handles, front bumper, and rear bumper, and that's it. That's what we have going on today. Now, this video is not going to be as long as the last video. You're done? Now, this video is not going to be as long as the last video. If you want to see a lot more of a breakdown on the painting process, if you want to see some more of the technical stuff, that is all in the last video. This video is kind of going to be a little quicker pace. I'm not too sure what all is going to be in it, but what we're going to do right now, white base coat, orange base coat. Well, the white's actually a sealer, so the white sealer, I just think of it as a base because it's a base underneath that orange. So we're going to go the white, the orange, the clear, and then we'll go from there. The following day now, everything went pretty good. See, I got the door handles right here. I already threw them up against the car to check for color match and to see how good they looked in comparison to the rest of the car, and they matched perfectly. There's no issues whatsoever. So everything went pretty well. Here we go with the mirrors. As you can see, looking pretty good. Here's the other mirror. Front bumper right there. Back bumper right here. Everything is looking really good. And now on the hood, I actually got a little more orange peel on the hood than the rest of the car. I don't know, I think I was just a little exhausted by the end of the day. Keep in mind, normally I'm doing 2 coats of base, 2 coats of clear. But with this, I did 2 coats of white, then I did 3.5 coats of base, and then I did 3 coats of clear. So by that last coat, I didn't stack it on as good as I should have, but that's okay. That's just what happens. And the way that we're gonna correct that is I'm just gonna wet sand the hood when I'm doing the rest of the car, and then in the end, it's gonna look perfectly fine. You'll just have to see how it comes out. So what we have going on, besides my beautiful Rugrats sheets, I just got that to protect the underside, because that's all painted black to match the engine bay. So we got these right here. There's just this, and then this has a little lock ring that goes underneath. So this is gonna sit right there, nice, just like that. And then also, this little hole, I had to cut it out before these even got here. These just got here last night, and I painted these yesterday. So this is gonna sit just like that. The lock ring is gonna go underneath. And then over here, here's how it goes on the car. So you see, this is just sitting there ready to go, not tight or anything. And then here's the other one. So when the hood is closed, this is really tight, it's not gonna go anywhere. and then as soon as you push the button, pops right off. So that's what it looks like on the inside. This is going to be on the hood. Hood is going to come down, snap, and that's it. So that's going to be really cool. And then the back of the hood, I just got it to be able to utilize the original hinges. We were thinking we might have to do 4 of those because the way that the motor sits in there and the way that the cutout is. But after the last video where I was working on the hood, I actually worked the hood a little bit more. So now it can use the back hinges like I'm saying, and then those. And I think that's a lot better in the end, because then you can just pop the hood. And also we're gonna do a different style intake. What I'm thinking is I just want to get some piping, or I was talking to Carr about it, and we're gonna see. He's gonna do something different, or I am, who knows. So we want this to just turn down into the motor and then have the filter sit right here. So that way the hood can still open, and that'll be a lot better than it was in the hood cutout video when you saw it. So I guess what we gotta do now, I'm gonna start getting some of this stuff ready, pull off some of this masking here, and just keep moving. So one thing that you might notice, we got this headlight from one used parts yard, and we got this headlight from Ben over with Taylor. So they're both used. You can't expect them to be perfectly evenly matched. So this one's a little nicer looking. This one is a little more yellow and dingy. So what I'm gonna do to just try to make them match a little bit more is I'm gonna buff this one out. Hopefully it looks like that one, and we'll see. Man, it's so intimidating putting a car back together right after it's painted, because you want to make sure you're not nicking anything in here. You want to make sure this is dangerous, man. So anyways, let's get back to work. Sand this headlight out, then buff it, and hopefully it matches. So I spent about 10 minutes on them, and they look like I spent about 10 minutes on them. They don't look perfectly crystal clear, but I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to make sure that it matched the other one. I didn't want to get it as clean as possible. I wanted it to get like the other one. So here's how they look. This was the one that was nicer. This is the one that we just did. That's definitely cool with me. I'm happy with that. As long as it doesn't look funny, it's gonna look clean, it's gonna look good. And man, we're just gonna keep making progress. So everything is coming along, it's looking really good. One of the main things that I always got to tell myself and focus on in this step is tearing it down is quick. You can just kind of be reckless in a sense, but this, I'm taking my time, I'm moving very slowly. Every single move is very meticulous, if you will. Every single thing, you know, I don't want to chip up anything. But man, you guys see this weather over here? Welcome to Florida, middle of June. We can't let that slow us down though. So the next thing is, I don't know, man. Who knows? I just gotta keep picking away at it, and eventually the list of things to do is gonna become nothing, and then we'll be done. Man, so that little clip that you just saw was yesterday. I thought it was gonna come down really hard, but it didn't as hard as I was thinking, but it was still raining, so audio for the rest of the day was not so good, and I had to leave kind of early. So coming into today, what we have done already, we got both mirrors on, both door handles on. As you can see, everything's looking good, and I always gotta make sure I put the rods back on correctly, make sure everything works. Doors are closing perfectly fine. We got this trim on, this little chrome molding, that little chrome molding. Bumpers ready to go on. And then on the front bumper, we got the little reflectors went on, and everything's looking really good. So yesterday, after I got home, I was talking on the phone with Acura Painter to kind of go over how everything went when I was doing the parts by myself. And I explained to him what happened on the hood. And as you can see, if you can see on the light right there, the orange peel is a lot worse on the hood than the rest of the other parts. So we're thinking it's because I didn't reduce that sealer, and I forgot when he was here, even though the sealer only calls for a 4-to-1 mixed ratio, that's 4-part sealer, 1-part hardener. He actually wanted to reduce it a little bit more because he thought the viscosity was a little high, or it was a little bit too thick. So when he was here, we reduced it, and I forgot that little step. So I think the sealer went on a little thick, and the base coat a little thick, and then the clear coat a little thick, and that's why we have so much orange peel. So rather than sanding it down and buffing it out, I'm actually gonna go ahead and do a flow coat. Now what a flow coat is if you sand it down completely with a 600 and then an 800, and then you clear it again. So I'm gonna knock down all of that orange peel, make sure I have a nice and smooth finish, and then I'm gonna go ahead and throw clear coat on top of that. And in theory, that clear coat's gonna be a lot smoother, and then we're gonna have a lot less buffing to do for the final buff, as opposed to buffing out all this orange peel. So what we're gonna do is I got my 600 right here. And then also I have this little soft pad. So this pad, nice and soft, and that's gonna go in between my sander and the sandpaper. And the reason why I have that hard pad is so that way the hard sander isn't going right up against the panel. I have that little cushion of leeway, so I'm not gonna get any major deep scratches. And let's just go for it, man. Get it sanded down, and then we'll get it back up and clear it for the final time. So here's what it looks like sanded, and it's starting to rain again, so it might get a little crazy, but that's what it looks like sanded. As you notice, all of the shine is gone, but there's still some little tiny areas of shine like around here, but I don't want to kill it too hard because I don't want to break through to that base coat, because if you do, then you got to do a little more base coat, and then you got to do clear on top. It just gets a little messy. So the main goal is to not break through that base coat or to that base coat, and then go ahead and re-clear it, and hopefully we'll see it comes out a lot smoother. Man, the weather has been crazy. Look at this. I'm about to get my skimboard next time, and we're gonna go. Anyways, back to work. Get the hood hung, whatever, and then we'll clear it. So as you can see, that looks a whole lot better. There's a lot less orange peel. Before it was pretty drastic. Now it's just a little bit. And notice there's also a little bit of a urethane wobble. If you can see that light right there, it kind of goes back and forth just a little bit. And the reason for that is I didn't spend as much time blocking this as I did the rest of the panels. It was more of a time frame thing. We had already scheduled for Acura Painter to come up here on a Monday, and that was all scheduled with his job, so that was set in stone, and also his hotel and all that different stuff. And I got this hood dropped off on, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, but I didn't have as much time with it as I would like. Either way, it looks really good. I mean, the clarity is there. It looks perfect, and I'm glad I decided, instead of trying to save that old orange peel, sand it down and buff it for hours and hours and hours. Now I'm just gonna have to buff this a little bit because it already looks that much better. So just kind of going over the process from start to finish. If you didn't see the last video, or if you weren't sure of it in the last video, what we did was house of color everything. So this is the first thing. That was the House of Color. That's the custom sealer, and that's the white. And then after that, we did this. That's the Tangelo Pearl, and that's from the factory pack color. So we did the white, then the Tangelo, and then we did the custom clear on top of that. So House of Color, everything from start to finish. We wanted to make sure we had all of the best products on this vehicle because this vehicle is gonna be all over the place, hopefully, and then whenever anybody sees it from now on, you could say, man, I remember seeing that car going from black to orange with BodeVision. That's all I did, and that's all the credit that I can take. Well, Accurate Painter and myself for laying down this beautiful orange paint, looking so solid. Man. So, what we have coming up, what I still have to do, I want to put everything else back together. How's the weather looking here? So I want to put everything else back together. That's going to be in the following video. Now before this video is over, I wanted to remind you to hit that bell. It's so important if you are a fan. Now this is if you are a fan and you want to see all of my videos. I wanted to make sure you're aware of the fact that YouTube doesn't just show you all of your subscriptions. You have to hit the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. If you're happy with how it is thus far, just leave it how you have it. If you would like to make sure you don't miss any of the uploads, make sure you hit that bell. So that's going to be it. The next video is going to be a whole nother video on the Miata where we're wrapping it up. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video, comment, let me know what you think about the entire process. Do all the stuff, check out the merch. You know what it is, YouTube. I'm out.